When people use the phrase leftist infighting, it can understandably be frustrating and dismissive because people will use it to pass off genuine criticisms of the conduct of some people in leftist spheres. Like if people are having a genuine conversation on how we talk about certain things and someone comes in and goes, guys, stop infighting, we have bigger problems. That's like frustrating because these conversations are relevant and they shouldn't just not happen because something larger is going on. But there are instances where infighting is tedious and overdone, and the best example is over Israel-Palestine. There are numerous progressive YouTubers in the BreadTube sphere, which is often associated with leftism as it features creators like ContraPoints, Guy, Jesse Gender, and so on, that will voice their support for the Palestinian cause when they are pushed to, but fail to do so in any substantial way. Alongside their fans, they act as if it is a ridiculously big ask of already progressive or leftist creators to be vocal about what is happening, a genocide. Many of them will call it that forthright. It's so ironic how these people will go, yes, it's a genocide, now leave me alone about it. I only want to talk about racial and gender issues in the Western world, and simultaneously express understanding of how dissent or resistance in history is good. If the Holocaust was happening right now, would it be acceptable to just not talk about it? If you personally acknowledge the wrong of it, and you also happen to have a massive platform, and you claim you are capable of doing research and educating yourself, then why would you not do this? What about Palestine turns you away? Why can't you meaningfully talk about it? If you are acknowledging it's a genocide like you claim, then why are you not genuinely grappling with that? I feel like these people are saying the word genocide. It's coming out of their mouths to just cover their asses, but they are not properly coming to terms with what they are saying. You are saying, yes, there is a genocide in Palestine, but let me go ahead and talk about something else that's very minor compared to that. Do you see how it's like frustratingly insubstantial? The best example is the point that ContraPoints, or the post that ContraPoints did on Reddit, where it started with saying, the online left has spent the last 20 months distributing hundreds of photos and videos of dead children. And then, like, you would think, okay, like, let's start talking about, Palestine. Like, you've seen this shit, you're acknowledging it's bad. I'm really hoping you can talk more about it. It's important to spread awareness. You spent the first part of that post talking about it, but then for some reason she proceeds to dedicate a large majority of her post to talking about anti-Semitism on the left, which, yes, I'm sure it exists. Yes, I'm sure we've seen it, but it's disingenuous. The vast majority of anti-Semitism online has come from right-wingers. We know this, we've seen it. This isn't any different now. There's just a conflation. It also feels like falling for Zionist propaganda when you start saying shit like that, because that's how Zionist propaganda operates. It loves to tell you about anti-Semitism, so you turn your focus away from the genocide. I understand that anti-Semitism is a problem and it is something to be talked about, but when there is literally a genocide, it's not comparable right now. You need to talk more about this, but no, you're in here to talk about leftists being anti-Semitic. It's always been right-wingers hating the Jews. It's so disingenuous to cry about this amidst a genocide. It's a false conflation. There are people dying, and all you could think about is an FBI agent with a watermelon in their username tweeting anti-Semitism once in a while. And then on the other hand, and of people like ContraPoints, there's people who claim to not be educated enough to make a clear stance, like Guy's initial response to all of this, as if these people don't already spend hours researching niche video topics. If you can spend 8 hours researching a video game to make a video on it, I think you can sit down and read a book on the history of Palestine. There's not much of an excuse there. I know it's not interesting, oh, I'm sure, but it feels like a bad excuse when you, as a leftist, who should be someone who's interested in being educated and well voiced on the topic, are making the excuse that you just don't know enough. Well, start knowing enough. Start listening and start learning. Lay off the excuses, you know what I mean? I cannot make it any clearer how ridiculous it is to whine about about culture war nonsense, just like right-wingers love to do, while there is an active genocide going on. I feel like when these people are forced to say, yes, Israel is doing a genocide, they do it just to get people off their backs and deflect valid criticism, not because they actually come to terms with what they're saying. They are going to say, yes, Israel's doing a genocide so that people can stop criticizing them as much, and so that when someone does criticize them or calls them something like, a Israeli sympathizer, they will be like, but I said it's genocide, and then refuse to actively engage with genuinely good criticism about their conduct. Obviously, someone who's not a great example is Ethan Klein. He's gone way too far to be considered someone who could be swayed or someone who could be useful to this cause. Like, he's already very clearly a Zionist. That's very obvious. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's hard to compare him to ContraPoints, but given where ContraPoints is now, she seems to be going on the same projection, so it's relevant to mention Klein, even though I hate him and would rather not talk about him. But what he does is claim to be pro-Palestine, quietly donates to Palestine, all of that, and yet he spends all his time on his platform talking about anti-Semitism on Twitch and harshly attacking his opponents who are vocal supporters of Palestine, which is now devolved into suing them. He cannot claim to be for Palestine and do this. And no, it's not to say that anti-Zionists should be immune to criticism because they're right about Palestine. That is not what anyone genuinely believes. It's just that we can tell where priorities lie. And it's on petty bullshit, not being anti-genocide. Leftism is supposed to be for the people, for all people, not just your petty liberal nonsense, vaguely masked as progressive bullshit. You cannot claim to be leftist and then ignore Palestine. That's severe cognitive dissonance, and you do not belong here. How can you care about marginalized people and then just ignore the biggest violation of human rights going on right now actively in front of us, something that is being actively supported by our countries that we live in, whether it's America or multiple European countries like the UK, that is so relevant. You cannot just not talk about this. It is not a big ask to ask people to talk about this. This is genocide we are talking about. We're not asking people to talk about a niche little topic that is irrelevant or whatever. These people want to be leftists, then they need to engage with this. It needs to be something they care about. I'm tired of like the stop bullying people into talking about Palestine. You're just making your move look worse. I don't give a fuck. It's genocide. It's genocide. It's a genocide.